2024 is officially over. We've had some great movies that year, but since 2025 is already here, it is time to dive into what's in store for us for the next 12 months, which movies should we check out in theaters, and which ones we should completely avoid. Let's get into it. Starting off with Marvel's Captain America: Brave New World. It is the 35th movie in the whole universe. Wow, such a great number. Let's take a look at what we've got going on here. It had terrible test screenings and suffered extensive script rewrites and reshoots because of this. The release date went from May 2024 to February 2025, which is not a great time to release your blockbuster. The director of the film didn't have any experience with big projects before, and we already know how this has turned out for Marvel. Because of the reshoots, the movie's budget skyrocketed to somewhere in between $350 and $375 million, which sits closely to Avatar 2. Now, the funny part is that Captain America has to earn at least $850 million just to break even. That's before any earn of revenue for Disney and Marvel. And what kind of movie is going to attempt that? It is a continuation of the Disney Plus miniseries with terrible writing and forgettable events. No wonder they had huge difficulties writing an engaging script here. They couldn't even come up with a proper subheading for the movie. In the beginning it was called Captain America: New World Order, and then they decided to change it to Brave New World, which to me sounds extremely weird and cartoonish. With such negative press floating around, Captain America has all the chances to bomb catastrophically and damage the already collapsing MCU fortress even harder, and there is no Deadpool and Wolverine to save it this time. Mickey 17. Okay, this is a special one, guys. This is the next movie from Bong Joon-ho, the man who brought Parasite to life, the movie that got multiple Academy Awards, including an award for the Best Picture. I watched it way after all the Oscar buzz and it totally caught me off guard. I didn't expect it to be this thought-provoking and terrifying at the same time. The writing is just extraordinary, and I highly recommend you to watch it if you still haven't. I wasn't trying to look up afterwards whether Bong Joon-ho is working on a new film, so I kind of forgot about him. And here we go, Mickey 17 coming out so soon. The film has a killer cast. I cannot wait to see everyone there. The story about Robert Pattinson, who dies for a living and eventually comes across his own clone, and all of this shaped in a dark comedy material, sounds super cool. If you liked Parasite, or you like Pattinson, or you like dark comedy, or everything all at once, now you know what to do on March the 7th. The live-action adaptation of Snow White. I have already told you about Captain America 4's bad press. Well, this is nothing compared to Snow White. There's just too much controversy with the appropriate depiction of dwarves, and the main lead straight up telling that the original animated film is extremely dated and completely unfit for the modern world. The fact that the evil queen, a character who wanted to be the most beautiful woman in the whole world and tried killing Snow White out of envy, is being played by a former model and great-looking Gal Gadot makes it incredibly hilarious and stupid at the same time. What kind of top casting is that? But what's most important is that this remake is a despicable attempt at erasing all the good values that the original Snow White represented in favor of aggressively pushing out new and extremely progressive messages. The new Snow White is a complete disgrace to the classic and a total waste of time. There's just no discussion in the whole internet that would describe this film in a positive light. So the damage to Snow White was done by people that have created it, and the damage is devastating. A Minecraft movie. No, it's not looking good to me. Let's get one thing straight. I think that the film is going to be a blast with some of the youngest audiences out there, so I'd encourage people with kids, if you're watching, I encourage you to check this one out. As for everyone else, it's not looking great. Hear me out. Real people walking through a cubic world, hitting blocks, crafting some pixelated items. A really weird looking movie. I hope there is no need in explaining what Minecraft is in general. I have nothing against the games, but the adaptation, I just can't see how it is possible to create an engaging plot based on a game that doesn't have a plot in the first place. And Minecraft doesn't need a plot. It is loved for offering opportunities to do literally anything and having an extremely addictive gameplay. But here comes the unexpected. A movie cannot be created without a plot. This is just not how it works. Plus, it is nice if the plot is interesting at all. So how have they managed to achieve it here? Definitely subscribe to my channel in order to find this out for yourself in my review of Minecraft movie when it comes out. Sinners. This is a horror film directed by Ryan Coogler with a budget of $90 million. Quite an expensive horror compared to Screams and Megans out there. The film stars Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld. What's fascinating here is that Jordan has a double role because he plays twin brothers, something similar to Tom Hardy's performance in 2015's Legend. The plot is really mysterious. It is about two brothers who return to their hometown with an intention to leave their dark past behind and start over. However, they discover that an even greater evil awaits them there. The trailer doesn't give too much away either, so I can't really predict anything here. But what I can say for sure is that Ryan Coogler is an extremely talented director. He has worked with different projects, both big and small, and now is his time to experiment with a new genre in which I wish him the best of luck. Now is his turn to scare the crap out of us. Marvel's Thunderbolts. This is the 2025 MCU movie that I'm least worried about. No rumors of terrible test screenings, no extensive reshoots and overhauling the whole script, but not the MCU savior like Deadpool and Wolverine, that's for sure. Just a good action popcorn adventure, that's what I expect from it. I watched the trailers and I honestly really liked what I saw there. The movie definitely has some answers to the big questions from the fans. However, Captain America 4 also has some interesting stuff going on, but screw Captain America, for real. For people that are not familiar with the MCU, there's almost no point in tuning in because all the movies are interconnected with each other and tons of homework has to be done in order to understand everything that's going on. But if you're interested in watching a film about a bunch of idiots forced to go on a mission for the United States government, then go watch Suicide Squad. Not this Suicide Squad, dear God, this Suicide Squad. It doesn't have a tight connection to the previous films, has an engaging narrative and beautifully written characters. Go watch it. Let's move on. Lilo and Stitch, live action remake. What can I possibly say about this one? This is another Disney remake. I didn't watch the original cartoon and I wasn't a fan of the animated series at all back when I was a kid. So this one is by far not on my can't wait to watch list. The studio barely does anything new these days and the management is totally fine with retelling the same stories that were created a long time ago by extraordinarily bright and creative people.
Enough said.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Forget about Lilo and Stitch, this is what's coming on May 23rd. I love this franchise and praise Tom Cruise for everything he did for it. His commitment to performing truly death-defying stunts is admirable. Mission Impossible is an extremely enjoyable blockbuster franchise that outlasted Daniel Craig's James Bond and Jason Bourne, and now it is also coming to an end. The franchise had its ups and downs for sure, but for me its rise to glory started with The Ghost Protocol, the fourth film. From that point, the registered trademark of this film series, being the crazy stunts, didn't look just cool anymore. It truly separated Mission Impossible from the others of the same genre. I know that the plot is extremely trivial and this is going to be yet another story about saving the entire world, but the stunts! Heading from a plane or a helicopter mid-air, dangerous driving, halo jumps, you name it. Tom Cruise has done it all and he is already more than 60 years old. Imagine yourself at 60 and what would you do at this point? Anyway, I cannot wait to see Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning in IMAX when it comes out, and I highly encourage you to do the same because there is a low chance we'll be getting anything like these movies in the nearest future. This is going to be a pure action spectacle. Karate Kid: Legends. This is a martial arts drama which is a sequel to the original Karate Kid trilogy of the 80s and the reboot in 2010. Plus it is merged with Netflix's Cobra Kai show. What makes this release extremely special to me in particular is that the reboot of Karate Kid with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith was the first movie ever that I went to see in the cinema back when I was just 9 years old. Somehow I still remember this. I just love the idea of bringing back both Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan. No return for Jaden for obvious reasons, the story is going to introduce another main character. I am extremely excited about this one. Such return of the legends, just like the subheading says. Ballerina, a John Wick spin-off. The story of John Wick ended on a really high note with the fourth chapter. But that doesn't mean we don't need extremely enjoyable top-tier action movies with jaw-dropping shootout and hand-to-hand combat sequences anymore. I know about Chris Hemsworth's Extraction, but that's not a cinema experience. That's a couch-seated Netflix on my TV experience. This is not the same. Talking about Ballerina, its plot is set between John Wick Chapter 3 and 4 and is going to tell a story about vengeance, which I don't really appreciate these days because of its repetitiveness. But I can easily forgive this movie for using such trope, and here is why. You see, there is Black Manta from Aquaman who tried to kill the main character who killed his father. And this happened in a series of PG-13 films with terrible action scenes and zero level of immersion. Whereas here, this avenging your father's death is happening in a franchise that is known for its incredibly intense and brutal fight sequences that are depicted with such style and finesse that all you can do is just stare at a screen full of pure awe and excitement. So if Ballerina is the same as John Wick, I am totally okay with this plot, and if you're a fan of good rated R action, this movie is for you 100%. How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. Here, DreamWorks copies Disney's strategy of turning their animation into movies. This approach often turns into a financial success in the box office, but what almost all of these remakes have in common is a lack of heart and soul that was present in the original. I would have said that I'm really disappointed in the studio taking this direction, however DreamWorks still blasts with great original animated movies and they still have room for one remake, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm serious, I don't want to rewatch the same thing over and over again just in a live-action format this time. How to Train Your Dragon is fine, but only the first part. And please, I'm begging, no Shrek remake. Release the 5th part in 2026 and you're good. Elio. What's also releasing on the same day is Elio by Pixar, which is hands down my favorite animation studio of all time, and it finally has another original story in store. Little boy Elio, who is obsessed with space, accidentally gets beamed up to an interplanetary organization with representatives from different galaxies. And now it's up to him to form bonds with alien forms and navigate through a crisis of intergalactic proportions. I am forever grateful to this studio for every film that I watched while growing up, for every emotion that I felt because of these stories, for every tear that I cried for these characters. Pixar had a really hard time starting from 2020, with its projects flopping badly due to empty movie theaters during COVID, releasing on Disney Plus on the day of theatrical premiere, and straight up making wrong creative choices, resulting in audiences' backlash. And now it has just taken the trophy for the biggest movie of 2024 with Inside Out 2 that grossed almost $1.7 billion in the box office, and things finally started to get better. I expect Elio to be yet another top quality project with an incredibly moving story for me to cry over. It's time to get back on top, guys. 28 years later. This is the long-awaited sequel to Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later, a movie that redefined the whole zombie genre back in 2002. I cannot be hyped for this film because I haven't watched 28 Days in the first place because I'm not a huge fan of zombies and deadly viruses. But what got me curious about the sequel is that according to the report, it is shot entirely on an iPhone, which is totally mind-blowing. This is considered to be the biggest film to date that is shot on a smartphone. Obviously, this didn't look the way it is usually shown in Apple's commercials. The phones had lenses and other professional equipment attached to them, but the fact that people chose a phone over professional cameras to shoot their $75 million movie on is pretty impressive. I'm really looking forward to seeing the results. Formula 1. Oh, I really wanted another good movie about racing since Ford vs Ferrari, and it is finally here. This is a big one, Formula 1 fans, a sports action drama with Brad Pitt as the lead. The story revolves around a retired F1 driver who is forced to step out of his retirement to mentor a rookie prodigy for the Epic's Grand Prix team. What makes this film appealing to everyone who follows this extremely breathtaking sport is that it was created in collaboration with International Automobile Federation, which is a governing body for motorsport championships including Formula 1, so the accuracy of representation should be on point. In addition, all 10 F1 teams will appear in the movie with their drivers respectively, which means all the big names like Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez, and more. This is a really big deal. Okay, but why should we, unfamiliar with all this motorsport stuff, watch this movie? Bunch of great reasons. First of all, the story sounds really tense and promising, and secondly, this is a project under Pitt's production and control, and he rarely signs up for something that doesn't have potential. What's more, it is yet another collaboration between director Joseph Kosinski and cinematographer Claudio Miranda, which means that we can expect a film with extremely stunning visuals. And the composer for F1 is Hans Zimmer. This is going to be epic. I don't want to exaggerate all this for myself, but if everything turns out well, not only will this movie tell a very interesting story, but it is also going to be truly outstanding in all the technical aspects, because there were just too many extremely talented people working on this one. So F1 is one of the most anticipated films of 2025 for me, and it should be for you too. Jurassic World Rebirth. This is a weird one. This is a standalone sequel to Jurassic World Dominion, the latest film of the franchise. However, it has a new set of characters, making it a completely new take on the film series. Gareth Edwards is directing. The guy who unfortunately failed with his original sci-fi, The Creator, has returned to making movies about giant reptiles. There is not much information currently, only some details on the production and plot. The movie aims to represent the tone of the first trilogy, especially the first Jurassic Park. Sounds really nice. Other than that, there's nothing. But we should expect a trailer to arrive pretty soon because there's only half a year left and movies of this scale usually release their trailers pretty early. Superman. This is the beginning of a new era for DC. James Gunn, the director behind the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, is now the CEO of DC Studios. He was tasked to bring together a working cinematic universe for Warner Bros. To compete with Disney's MCU, something that the studio has been trying to do for a long time but was failing miserably in the process with the DC Extended Universe that lasted from 2013 to 2023. So the first film of this DC reboot is Superman, which is written and directed by Gunn himself. It is impossible to measure the weight that's on this film's shoulders. Warner Bros. Has already tried this superhero stuff, hitting miss after miss, wasting billions of dollars. Plus, they have already thrown tons of money at Gunn in his ideas. So this Superman must be a success both with reviews and financial performance. Otherwise, Warner Bros. Should just cancel the whole thing from the first movie, because only a complete and utter moron is going to keep investing in this same project that has already resulted in catastrophic losses. Right before 2025, we received our very first trailer of the film and the reaction was incredible. It is the most viewed DC trailer compared to all of its previous releases, with 250 million views in just 24 hours. And what do I personally think of the trailer? Well, I think it looks great. Just like I said in my Aquaman 2 review, James Gunn knows what he's doing. There has been enough proof of that already. And I think that not just Superman, but the whole DCU is going to be fantastic under his creative direction. Give it a few more years and it will be much more interesting to follow than the current MCU. Marvel's Fantastic Four: First Steps. And here's the third and last film of the MCU in 2025, and it also marks the beginning of Phase 6. I don't know what to think about this one. If you're a fan of F4 who survived the 2015 film and you're waiting for a new one, then it's great news. These characters are going to make their debut in the MCU. But I'm not a fan of them whatsoever. For me, this movie is going to be just another installment to this giant web of different projects, which is what Phases 4 and 5 have been consisting of all this time. On one hand, I am very skeptical of the 60s setting they decided to build the film around. Wouldn't it be just boring to watch? On the other hand, I'm glad they didn't make it another take on their origin story and came up with a development similar to Spider-Man Homecoming, where we don't see yet another spider bite and Uncle Ben's death. This is cool. The cast looks really nice. I'm interested in Pedro Pascal's portrayal of Mr. Fantastic, and I'm especially glad to see Joseph Quinn there. The guy was totally brilliant in the 4th season of Stranger Things, and now he's getting roles in big projects like A Quiet Place spin-off and Fantastic Four. Love it. And that's all I can say for now. Waiting for a new trailer to drop that should provide more details. Fantastic Four must provide high quality and gain interest among the fans, otherwise this is just rock bottom. A new phase starting with a flop twice in a row sounds horrible, and only the appearance of Robert Downey Jr. would save the franchise in this case. Oh, speaking of that, we can expect him to appear in the Fantastic Four's post-credits scene, but Don't buy a ticket to the movie only because of its post-credit scene. Don't be like that. Tron Ares. The third installment in the Tron series had a super long way to the big screen. Tron Legacy has a special place in my heart, and I don't want a new questionable film to interfere with it. It kinda hurts that people didn't give Legacy a chance at the time and we lost a proper sequel, but now seeing that one of my most memorable movies of all time is finally getting a deserved continuation just warms my heart. However, I am very skeptical about all of this. Ares is directed by a regular Disney's man for hire who doesn't have anything special about him, whereas Legacy was directed by a debutant who brought an incredible style to this movie, which heavily covered up for a pretty generic story. Take a moment to remember Tron Legacy and what a gem it is in terms of world design and overall aesthetics. That was Joseph Kosinski, who I have mentioned while talking about F1 movie. The guy really grew with his career. And the musical score for Legacy was composed by Daft Punk, which is without a doubt and any discussion unbelievably beautiful, timeless, and one of the best scores ever created in the movie industry. What can Ares possibly offer without Kosinski and Daft Punk? I have no idea, honestly. Maybe the film's going to be great and offer something new, or maybe Tron Legacy should have been the last film in the series. Now You See Me 3. Drop a like if you still remember this great movie with such an amazing ending to it. The second part of Now You See Me was nowhere near as good, but its ending had a clear indication that the third film is a thing. However, the production took an interesting turn and we're getting another installment in this movie series almost a decade later. Not great. Yet we have almost made it. The movie is approximately 10 months away and the only thing we can do for now is just wait for a trailer to drop. I am extremely glad that almost everyone from the cast is back and we will finally see these characters again. No high expectations, just pretty hopeful that everything is going to be decent. The second part of Zootopia. Everything is extremely simple here. This is a sequel to Disney's mega hit animated film. Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde team up once again to crack a new case. The talks about going forward with Zootopia have started back in 2016. But only in February 2023 it was announced that the second installment is in the phase of active development. I really hope that the second film is going to keep the same atmosphere that was present in the original and bring lots of new characters. The movie should be a lot of fun. Fingers crossed. Avatar, Fire and Ash. Honestly, I don't like the trajectory these movies took. I didn't watch the first Avatar in the cinema back in 2009, but I knew how much of an impact James Cameron made on the whole industry and how many records this movie broke at the time, so I was extremely excited for the second part being in development. So in December 2022, 13 years later, I finally got the chance to watch Avatar on the big screen, but with a subheading The Way of Water and 10 times more boring. Avatar: The Way of Water shamelessly reused the whole plot of the first part, adding nothing except a bunch of kids, painting the old villains blue and pouring tons of water, both on screen and in the script. I legit went into sleep mode somewhere in the back half, slept for 15 minutes and then woke up before the final battle. That's how engaged I was. And now I have no excitement for the third part whatsoever. Visually, this is going to be out of this world once again, I'm totally certain of that. But story-wise, this is a sequel to a completely forgettable Avatar 2. This is not going to be an event unlike anything else anymore, because there is no 13 years gap between movies, only 3. And the worst part is that we're going to get even more Avatars in the span of 3 to 7 years, I guess. The magic is completely gone, we're getting Avatars like Fast and Furious now. So there you have it, this is what we can expect from this year. Of course, I haven't mentioned everything that's gonna come out, so if there's something interesting that you would like to see and it is not mentioned in this video, now is your time to share it in the comments down below. I would love to read all of that. And if this video was a helpful guide into 2025 movie lineup, then definitely drop a like and subscribe to the channel to see more. As for now, I think I'm gonna get some sleep. Right, thank you all very much for watching the video. Meet me next time.